Hi, this is Mr. Bledsoe, and in this video I'm going to show you how to do long division with decimal numbers. And as we're going to see, it's very similar to doing long division using whole numbers. So we're going to use the same division problem that we worked previously, 7,644 divided by 39, which we would write with our long division symbol like this, 7,644 divided by 39. And we already know that the quotient for this division is 196. So we're going to use this division problem to look at three cases that cover all of the possible scenarios that involve long division with decimals. So here's case number one, where we have a decimal point in the dividend. So we're going to do 764.4 divided by 39. And that problem, if I wrote it using my long division symbol, it looks like this, 764.4 divided by 39. And I'm going to start by rewriting this division expression. So 764.4 divided by 39, I can write it like this using my fraction bar. So 764.4 divided by 39, I want to write this in a slightly different way. 764.4 I can write as 7,644 times 0.1. Now, if I write my expression like this, and notice I haven't changed the value of the expression, I've just rewritten my dividend, 764.4, as 7,644 times 0.1. Well, once I write it like that, I can rewrite it again as 7,644 divided by 39 times 0.1. Well, notice this 7,644 divided by 39, that's the same division problem that we have already done. We know the quotient for this is 196. We've already done that division before. So 196 is the value of 7,644 divided by 39. That times 0.1 is equal to 19.6. So now I know that 764.4 divided by 39 is 19.6. So typically the way that you would do this particular division problem, where you have a decimal point in the dividend, is that you would simply do the same division steps, the same long division steps that you did before, as though there were no decimal point. And then at the end, you would just take the decimal point and you would just move it up into your quotient. So in other words, you kind of would do the long division process ignoring the decimal point in the dividend, and then at the very end, you would just take the decimal point and add it into your quotient by essentially moving it straight up from the dividend into the quotient. All right, so there's case one. So, and also note, this is another example of why it's so important to line up the place value columns in your dividend and your quotient, because you want to be sure that you put your decimal point in the right place in your quotient. Okay, so let's take a look now at case number two, where I have a decimal point in both my dividend and my divisor. And so I'm going to do this division problem, 76.44 divided by 3.9, which is going to look like this, 76.44 divided by 3.9. And again, I'm going to start by rewriting this division expression. So 76.44 divided by 3.9. And I'm going to rewrite this expression by multiplying it times the number 1. And remember, if I multiply something times the number 1, that doesn't change the value of the expression. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, it doesn't really seem to make much sense to multiply something times the number 1. We're just going to have exactly what we started out with, except I'm going to multiply this times the number 1 in a special form. 10 divided by 10. All right, notice 10 divided by 10, that's the same as 1, just in a slightly different form. And if I multiply 76.44 divided by 3.9 times 10 over 10, I can write that as 76.44 times 10 over 76.44 over 3.9 times 10 . And now, since I'm multiplying numbers here times powers of 10, all I need to do is move my decimal point. So then 76.44 times 10, it would just be 764.4. 3.9 times 10 is 39. Well, I already know what the value of 764.4 divided by 39 is, because this is the exact same problem that I did up here in case 1. In other words, I already know that the quotient is going to be 19.6. Well, let's take a look at how exactly we would do that using our long division symbol and our long division method. After I wrote down 76.44 divided by 3.9 using my long division symbol, I would move my decimal points to the right. So 3.9, I move that to the right 1 place. 76.44, I move that to the right 1 place. Now my decimal point in my dividend is right here. I'm going to move it up directly above where it is so that now it's in the quotient. And now my quotient, 19.6. In other words, if we have a decimal point in both the dividend and the divisor, we want to move our decimal points to the right, the same number of spaces, until our divisor is no longer a decimal number. And then we have a division problem just like we had in case 1, and we do our long division just like we always do. And this is really the key to doing long division with decimal numbers. The key is you don't want your divisor to be a decimal number. It's okay if your dividend is a decimal number. In fact, if your dividend is a decimal number, as we saw in case 1 here, you just kind of ignore the decimal point, do your long division like you normally would, and then you add in the decimal point at the end when you're finished with your long division. And as we saw in case number 2, if we have a decimal point in our divisor, we just move the decimal point over along with moving the decimal point in the dividend over until there's no longer a decimal point in the divisor, and then we do our long division just like normal. Okay, so I want to look at one last example, which I'm going to call case 3. So students often wonder at this point, well, what about if you have a decimal point only in the divisor? Like, say, 7,644 divided by 3.9. And as it turns out, this is really just a special case of case number 2. And the reason I say that is because we really do technically have a decimal point in our dividend. It's just that it's right here at the end. And while we don't typically write the decimal point if we have a whole number like 7,644, in this case we do want to write the decimal point. And we would write it like this: 7,644, let's write our long division symbol, 7,644 divided by 3.9. In this case, we do want to write our decimal point in our dividend. And in fact, we want to write a trailing 0 after our decimal point. Because remember, we don't want our divisor to be a decimal number when we're doing long division, which means we need to move the decimal point in our divisor one place to the right. And if we move the decimal point in our divisor one place to the right, we also have to move the decimal point for our dividend one place to the right. And now we have a long division problem, which looks like this. Our decimal point, after we've moved our decimal points, now is right here, which means after we finish doing our long division, we're going to move our decimal point up so that it is in the quotient right here. And this is a long division problem, 76,440 divided by 39, that you should be able to do. So I'm going to let you figure out what the quotient is for this division problem, and then check with your parent to see if you got the correct answer.